This world went by the name of Blue Star, a place where martial strength wasn't just important. It was everything. It was a realm perpetually under siege by monstrous beasts that spilled through mysterious portals like unwelcome party crashers. These creatures weren't your run-of-the-mill pests. They were nation-annihilating, apocalypse-delivering nightmares. Humanity had already lost entire countries to them, and if you thought things couldn't get worse, they absolutely could. Over centuries of relentless conflict, because apparently humanity enjoys punishment, people finally came up with the Beast Gene System as their Hail Mary pass. By injecting yourself with a Beast Gene, essentially playing genetic roulette, you could unlock hidden potential and transform into a warrior capable of holding your own against these monsters. This innovation became humanity's last-ditch effort to survive, ushering in an era dominated by martial might. Because who needs diplomacy when you've got monster DNA? Iha, now a warrior prep student preparing for his final exams, found himself at rock bottom in his class. Both of his parents had tragically died in an accident during his sophomore year, leaving him emotionally shattered and unmotivated to study or train. As he sat there wondering how he'd claw his way out of this mess, the teacher strode confidently to the podium like the motivational speaker no one asked for. "All right, everyone," the teacher announced with all the enthusiasm of someone trying to sell timeshares. "Are you ready? We're about to start the gene modification injections. Remember, everything you've worked for over the past 3 years, building strength, cultivating martial energy, is for this moment." The teacher paused, casting a pointed glare at the slackers in the room, as if daring them to fail on her watch. Iha thought bitterly, "This is ridiculous. I've been putting in the work. Why should I feel guilty? But since I've taken over the original owner's responsibilities, it's time to clean up his mess." Because nothing screams heroic destiny like inheriting someone else's baggage. The class followed the teacher to the gene injection hall, where several metal boxes were neatly arranged on a table like a sci-fi buffet. Inside these boxes lay the gene awakening serums, each containing raw genetic data extracted from various monsters. After injection, one of the monster genes would activate based on the individual's physique. The stronger the body, the more potent the awakened monster gene. The teacher gave his usual pep talk. "Don't be nervous after the injection. Remain calm and accept the power. When I call your name, please come up and collect your serum." Chinong, Fei, Miao, Yuna, one by one, the students received their injections. Their skin began to steam, and agonized screams filled the air like a horror movie soundtrack. Hesitating briefly, Iha plunged the needle into his neck. Yet, after waiting for what felt like an eternity and probably a few awkward silences, nothing happened. No excruciating pain, no visible change, just crickets, the teacher noticed and said with a hint of confusion, "It seems like you're not reacting." Iha shrugged and replied with a nervous ly. "Did I get the fake serum or something?" At that moment, Wang Tong Tong, who had already awakened and was strutting around like she owned the place, swaggered over smugly. "Look at this," she sneered, clearly enjoying herself far too much. "It doesn't seem to have awakened at all. A warrior who hasn't awakened is like a bird without wings. Isn't that game over for you? I guess that works out for you. You won't have to be a warrior and can just go home and wait to die." "Ah yes, Wang Tong Tong, the queen of backhanded compliments and bullying." Seeing Iha's timid nature made her a frequent visitor to his personal pity party. Just as Iha prepared to snap back with a witty retort that would surely win him an Oscar for Best Comeback, his heart began pounding violently. Simultaneously, a system interface appeared in his mind. Infinite monster templates acquired. Host Iha. System rating B. Martial arts 9 sets, student level. Chi cultivation, mountain fist hardstyle. Monster templates extracted. Quickly, Iha shouted at Wang Tong Tong, "Move aside." She arrogantly retorted, "What's the matter? So what if you haven't awakened? Stop pretending. Leave? Why should I?" Gritting his teeth and enduring the changes within, Iha softly warned, "If you don't leave now, it'll be too late." In the next instant, Iha awakened, unleashing the Emperor Demon Ra's bloodline ability. Wong Tong Tong, standing directly in front of him like the unfortunate victim of a cannon test, was blasted away by a powerful shockwave, crashing hard onto the ground. Most of the other students were also thrown back by the immense shockwave, with some even vomiting from the overwhelming pressure. Because nothing says epic awakening like making your classmates lose their lunch. However, two students remained unaffected and secretly thought to themselves, "Is there someone stronger than me?" Just then, the system interface displayed. Awakened A-class template. Emperor Demon's Wrath. Bloodline abilities. Azure Breath. Thermonuclear Pulse. Nuclear Energy Absorption. Evolution Form. Emperor Demon's Wrath. Template compatibility fully unlocked. Compatibility 3% as the system prompt echoed. Iha's heartbeat reached its peak, and a flash of eerie blue light appeared in his eyes. He stared in disbelief at his fingers glowing with blue light, muttering, "Is this the golden finger the system gave me?" Because apparently, even gods of destruction need validation. The students around him were equally shocked, whispering, "Was that really Iha? Did he just blast everyone away with his energy field in an instant?" Wong Tong Tong was even knocked unconscious, and she had awakened the second-tier monster, the Flame Lizard. What exactly did Iha awaken? Feeling a little embarrassed, Iha said, "I guess my awakening caused a bit of commotion. I told them to step aside, but they didn't listen." Classic case of "I told you so" energy. Just then, the school's broadcast echoed throughout the hall. All third-year students who have awakened, please proceed immediately to the testing hall for a Gene Awakening and martial arts level assessment. Repeat, all third-year students inside the testing hall stood 10 high-tech cylindrical machines. As each student stepped inside, the large screen on the podium displayed their name, class, martial arts level, and the awakened monster gene. Li Yuan from our class awakened the third-tier monster bloodline of the Speedblade insect. He's really lucky. He was just an average student before, but now he's #1 in our class. Shaha is definitely the top of the grade. Not only is he a level 9 martial disciple, but he also awakened the Ice Dragon, one of the top bloodlines in the third tier. Looks like the valedictorian of our city will be him. Did you see what Miss Liu awakened? Holy crap! A rare 4th-tier bloodline, the Ghostly Phoenix Provincial Champion. If a 4th-tier monster's royal form showed up, it could destroy a whole city. Warriors would be like ants in front of them. Only masters could stand a chance. Listening to their discussions, Iha couldn't help but feel puzzled. The monsters they awakened were classified into tiers 3 and 4. So why was his rated A class? Plot twist. The universe has a sense of humor. Soon, it was Iha's turn for the bloodline assessment. The noise in the room grew louder. With the shockwave he had just released, many speculated he might be destined to become a big shot. If he played his cards right, he'd definitely latch onto someone powerful. The crowd watched him approach the testing machine like he was the main character of shonen anime. The crowd automatically parted because in this world, strength was everything, and Iha's overwhelming potential had naturally earned everyone's respect. Or maybe they were just scared he'd blast them again. The students murmured excitedly. It's Iha's turn. With the energy field he just showed, his level has to be high. What kind of bloodline can release such a powerful pressure after awakening? This guy's definitely something. Soon, his information appeared on the screen, but to everyone's surprise, only the basic details were listed. Everything else was a question mark. Class 7. Martial Disciple Level 3. Beast Bloodline. Unknown. Laughter erupted among his classmates. Martial Disciple Level 3? My little brother in middle school could beat him. Unknown bloodline? He probably doesn't even have one. Because nothing builds confidence like public humiliation. Iha, however, paid no attention to their mockery because everything was going just as he expected. The Emperor Demon Ra's bloodline hadn't been detected. But what had shown up was the prompt for the Infinite Monster template, while his template level was different from his classmates. It meant that as long as he met certain conditions, he could draw from an unlimited number of monster templates. Doesn't that mean I could become the king of monsters? He thought to himself. And wouldn't that make family reunions awkward? He then went to ask the teacher for a leave of absence. The teacher frowned and asked, "What? You want to take leave to study at home and return after the exams? Do you really think I'll believe you'll go home and actually study?" Iha responded earnestly, "Teacher, I really want to improve. I know I've fallen behind, and I need special training. If I don't keep up with everyone, I won't make it." The teacher sighed. "Seriously, Iha, you know the only way to become a warrior is to go to university. I understand you've awakened your bloodline, but your foundation is too weak. You won't be able to pass the entrance exams. So, get ready to repeat the year and come back next year. Don't rush." Iha, excited, replied, "Teacher, only by rushing can I improve. Maybe you don't understand, but now that I've awakened a powerful bloodline, with hard training, I'm sure I can succeed. You see the sincerity in my eyes. I would never lie to you." The teacher was momentarily taken aback, then nodded, saying, "Your eyes do seem sincere. All right, but next year you'll still have to come back and repeat the year under my supervision." After sincerely thanking the teacher, he left the school and headed for the Warriors Center in the city. On the way, he thought to himself, he had used his parents' house as collateral for $600,000 plus the compensation from their accident of over $1 million. Now, he had a solid starting fund. There were two options to increase his strength. One was to improve his warrior rank. The other was to enhance the compatibility of the Emperor Demoner template. In the information of the Infinite Monster template, it showed that each template starts with a compatibility of only 1 point, but the Emperor Demon RA has 3 points. Where did the other 2 points come from? The only answer is that the Emperor Demon RA template absorbed the power of the Gene Awakening Serum, providing an additional 2 points of compatibility. This means that in this world, Gene Scientific Serums can enhance template abilities. And compared to the long and grueling training of warriors, spending money to increase template compatibility is clearly more suited for him. So, he needs to hurry and buy a serum to boost his genetic power. After swiping his student ID, he walked into the Warriors Center. Since loading the Emperor Demon RA template, he had gained a unique perception ability, life magnetism. He could clearly sense the burning vital energy, and the beast roars in the bloodlines of the warriors around him like a furnace inside them. This intense life signal made his heart pound, but it wasn't fear. It was the urge to conquer. After all, the legendary Emperor Demon Rare was the king of monsters in their world. Unfortunately, he was still a rookie and could only hold back the combat bloodline of Emperor Demonar, forcing himself to endure. Once he had accumulated enough power, he would show this world what it truly means to be the king of monsters. Just then, a hand landed on his shoulder. "Little one, don't peek into others' business. You must have just awakened your beast gene, right? It's normal not to be able to control your power. What brings you to the Warrior Center?" He smiled and asked, "Beautiful sister, sorry, I didn't mean to. I came by genetic serums, but this place is so big. I can't find where to go. Could you help me with directions?" The woman smiled and said, "Genetic serums? You want to use them at this stage. He thought there might be some taboo about it." The woman explained, "It's not a big deal, but gene serums are expensive and they can easily lead to drug resistance, meaning their effectiveness will decrease over time. To maximize their effect, warriors usually wait until their bloodlines are developed to their peak before using them." He asked, "How much does one gene serum cost?" The woman replied, "At your stage, you'll only be able to use the basic consolidation type serum, which costs about 400,000. He was shocked, thinking to himself, "That's so expensive. My savings would only buy me 5 at most." He immediately asked, "Do you happen to know anyone who can give me a discount?" The woman handed him a business card with the name Huang Yuli, level 4 martial disciple written on it. She smiled and said, "Here, take my card. With an introduction from experienced warrior, you might get a discount." He politely thanked her and then parted ways. Soon he arrived at the Warrior Hospital and spent 1.45 million on 4 gene serums. With the remaining funds, he purchased some basic equipment and weapons. Warriors earn a lot, but they also spend heavily. This trip had turned him from a comfortable middle-class guy into someone living paycheck to paycheck. Once back home, He couldn't wait to inject the serums. As the light blue fluid entered his body, flowing through his veins and reaching his limbs, he immediately felt his blood start to boil as if a massive beast was roaring joyously inside him. After injecting all the serums, the compatibility with the Emperor Demon template increased from 3% to 7%. His physique also rose from a level 8 to 15, reaching Martial Disciple level 7. So, this is what improvement feels like. Nice. But every time I injected a serum, my physique would rise by 2 points, but the last one only increased it by 1. It seems that as my body improves, further enhancements will become increasingly difficult. If I activate the power of Emperor Demon Ra's bloodline, I might just have a shot at becoming the top scorer in the college entrance exams. If even with an advantage, I can't surpass those geniuses, then this boost is really underwhelming. But for now, I'll start planning for the next step, heading into the Secret Realm. The rifts to Secret Realms are divided into 6 levels from S to E. The higher the level, the stronger the monsters inside. In an S-level Secret Realm, the monsters are completely uncontrollable by humans. If they invade the real world, the destruction would be catastrophic. He had entered in City's 3rd-level Secret Realm. To his surprise, there were fewer people here than he expected. Perhaps it was because the Secret Realm had been developed for so long. After all, it was an old secret realm, and the valuable treasures had already been taken, leaving only some weak monsters for new warriors to practice on. He signed a death waiver at the entrance and received his ticket to the Secret Realm. Soon, he arrived at the rift. The rift was 10 m tall and 5 m wide, and it appeared to be a blue-gray fluid-like substance with sparkling white particles flashing within it. He was extremely excited about his first journey into the Secret Realm, thinking to himself that this was the beginning of his path to becoming the king of monsters. With that thought, he leaped and jumped right into the rift. After landing safely on the ground of the Secret Realm, he looked up at the sky and immediately saw 3 gigantic planets hanging above him. Conlon Star, Onway Star, and Tyene Star. Together, they formed a magnificent trio of planets in the sky, a scene straight out of a sci-fi movie. He couldn't help but marvel. Although I had read about the appearance of the Secret Realm in the textbooks, experiencing it in person is something entirely different. It's truly spectacular. As he took in the otherworldly scenery, he noticed something creeping up behind him in the grass. It was a first-tier monster, the Bladefang rabbit, known for its violent temperament and ability to hover. The moment the saber-toothed rabbit leapt, it was as fast as a bullet leaving the chamber. Its sharp teeth aimed directly at his jugular. However, with Emperor Demon Ra's sensory abilities, he had already noticed the rabbit's movements. He quickly dodged, then using his momentum, grabbed the saber-toothed rabbit by the head and crushed it with a pop. After its death, the body rapidly carbonized and turned to ash, leaving behind only a thumb-sized white monster core. He looked at the monster core and thought, "White ordinary quality? It's worth about 1,000. Not bad, though. I made 1,000 in just a few minutes." The average person works an entire month for 3,000 or 4,000. However, collecting too many first-tier monster cores wouldn't do him much good. It would be best if he could find a second-tier or higher monster. No sooner had he spoken than a second-tier monster. The corpse moth suddenly burst out from the ground. He chuckled softly, thinking to himself, "Well, that was quick." He drew his weapon and prepared to take the initiative. With a single sword strike, I hit the corpse moth. He'd studied the monster encyclopedia before, and compared to the monster's steel-like back armor, its underbelly was clearly more vulnerable. The foul-smelling green blood spurted out, splattering onto the ground and leaving behind a corrosive mark. The corpse moth curled its body into a tight ball, its blade-like insect limbs slashing rapidly toward him. He immediately unleashed his hyper beam technique, his fist flying forward like a cannonball and slamming into the corpse moth. The impact caused the creature's speed to falter momentarily. But before he could celebrate, the corpse moth launched 2 side fangs at him with surprising precision. Startled, he barely managed to dodge the attack, Quickly distancing himself from the monstrous threat, he grimaced inwardly, realizing the harsh truth. With his current martial artist level, he simply wasn't equipped to handle this monster. Without access to powerful martial arts techniques for support, even his deep martial energy and vitality were only functioning at half their potential. Ultimately, it all came down to the original body's poor foundation. Realizing the direness of the situation, he made a decision. It was time to activate his trump card, the Emperor Demon's Wrath bloodline. In an instant, his skin turned a deep blue, his pupils glowing like sapphires, and his arms became covered in tough, reptilian scales. His vitality surged several times over, and a gust of raw energy swirled around him. His hands transformed into monstrous claws, sharp and brutal. With one swift motion, he grabbed the corpse moth by its head, his grip closing like a hydraulic press. The creature's tough shell cracked under the immense force, and with a follow-up sweep, he split the corpse moth open from its belly. Now, with his physique boosted to a massive 21 points, facing a second-tier monster like the corpse moth was as easy as taking a leisurely stroll through the park. After deactivating his transformation, his skin returned to its normal human form. Though his pores began releasing heat, steam swirling around him like a post-battle aura. Glancing at the short sword he had just purchased, now corroded beyond repair by the corpse moth's venom, he sighed in frustration. I spent $250,000 on this gear, and it can't even handle a second-tier monster? What a ripoff, he muttered bitterly. The quality control is absolutely terrible. Suddenly, his stomach growled loudly, reminding him that this was his first monster hunt. The energy expenditure had been massive, and now hunger gnawed at him mercilessly. Unfortunately, he hadn't brought any food with him. Just as he was fretting about his empty stomach, a delicious scent caught his attention. He turned to see the corpse moth's green monster core, still emitting an enticing fragrance. An overwhelming urge to consume it washed over him, his body instinctively craving the energy within. Without hesitation, he picked up the core and swallowed it whole. The crystalline core melted into a soft liquid the moment it entered his body, spreading warmth throughout his system like a soothing wave. It felt as though he had injected a gene serum directly into his veins. Every cell in his body seemed to rejoice, and to his delight, the compatibility with the Emperor Demon RA bloodline increased by 0.3%. Eyes widening in disbelief, he couldn't help but feel a surge of joy. After all, he had spent hundreds of thousands of coins on a single gene serum, and it only boosted his compatibility by 1%. As realization dawned on him, tears welled up in his eyes. Damn it, I wasted so much money on those gene serums, he lamented. But instead of wallowing in regret, he channeled his frustration into determination. Tonight, he resolved he would hunt like there was no tomorrow. After a brief pause, he used Life Field to sense the positions of nearby monsters. By the next day at noon, he emerged from the third secret realm carrying a sack brimming with monster cores. As he approached the trading post, he pulled out a total of 20 white monster cores and 4 green ones. The clerk stared at him in disbelief. No way a high school student gathered this many monster cores. According to government regulations, warriors were required to hand over 10% of their harvest. For every green monster core, 5 white ones had to be surrendered. After completing the transaction, he exchanged his haul for nearly 200,000 Summer Kingdom coins. With 9 days left until the college entrance exam, he found himself back in Insit's 4th D-tier secret realm. A warrior team was already present. One of the members addressed their captain, Lin. "Captain, this time we should finally complete the Blood Jade Flower Bounty mission, right?" Lin, a second-tier warrior, nodded. "Last time we came here, we located the general area of the Blood Jade Flower, but old Chun got injured, so he won't be joining us this time." 2 other team members expressed concern. "But we only have 5 people now. Regulations state we need at least 6 to enter a D-tier secret realm." Lin gestured behind him. "Don't worry. I contacted an agency, and they introduced us to a new warrior. Are you the martial disciple level 9? Patterzilla. Iha nodded silently, thinking to himself, since I'm still a student and can't officially enter a D-tier secret realm, I had to use a black market agent to forge a fake identity. They charged me 100,000 coins for that. What a scam. Lin raised an eyebrow. Patterzilla? That's an odd name. Iha replied flatly. I couldn't use my real name without risking copyright infringement. Lin sighed. Well, whatever. It's just a code name. With your martial disciple level 9 status, you don't qualify to enter a D-tier secret realm. Our team will give you the chance to observe and learn, but make sure you don't hold us back. Seeing Lin's serious expression, Iha thought, at least he's setting clear expectations. That's better than someone throwing me under the bus later. After final preparations, the 6-person team piled into an off-road vehicle and drove straight into the rift of the secret realm. This time, they found themselves in a vast desert. Their bounty task was to locate a rare secret realm plant called the Cowflower. This marked their second visit to this particular secret realm. Last time, they had pinpointed the general location of the Blood Jade Flower, which was guarded by a second-tier monster with a champion-level bloodline. The off-road vehicle kicked up a long trail of dust across the desert, sandstorms swirling all around. Sitting in the vehicle, Iha mused. Last time it was the rainforest. This time it's a desert. It seems the secret realms aren't tied to a single world. Suddenly, several mole-like monsters poked their heads out of the ground, trailing the vehicle and preparing to attack. Huda, a man of few words, immediately threw several crystal iron throwing darts. Each dart struck true, piercing the heads of the mole monsters with deadly precision. The martial energy within the darts seeped into their brains, shattering them instantly. After a short while, the vehicle came to a stop near a small oasis in the desert. The Blood Jade Flower they sought was located within this oasis. Since the monsters guarding the flower were highly sensitive to sound, the group decided to abandon the noisy off-road vehicle and proceed on foot. As the team leader, Lin began assigning tasks. Shirao, you'll release the shockwave grenade to draw the monster out. Xiao Wu and Huda, you two will set up the traps. Old Lu, you'll provide suppression fire. I'll handle the front lines. Patterzilla, you stay back and observe. Iha nodded. No problem. With the plan in place, the team sprang into action. The shockwave grenade soared into the air, releasing a thunderous explosion. Simultaneously, a wave of higher-tier monster energy radiated outward, drawing nearby creatures toward them. Soon, a massive rumble echoed from the oasis, as if thousands of wild bulls were charging. A 10-meter-long second-tier monster, the Earth Dragon, roared as it smashed through trees and barreled toward them. Linhe, who had been waiting for the perfect moment, leaped high into the air, wielding his ton-heavy alloy sword. The blade sliced through the air with a sharp whistle, and with a single devastating strike, he decapitated the Earth Dragon, sending blood gushing out like a macabre fountain. The team assumed the battle was over and prepared to continue their search for the Blood Jade fruit. However, just as they relaxed, the Earth Dragon suddenly raised its massive paw and slammed it toward Linhe. Fortunately, Iha had remained vigilant, instantly reacting by launching his full Power Mountain Fist technique. With a thunderous punch, he delivered the final blow, saving Linhe's life in the nick of time. The team was stunned. They hadn't expected that Iha, a first-tier martial artist, could possess enough strength to shake a second-tier monster. Such raw power earned their respect, and they no longer saw him as a liability, but as a valuable teammate. After defeating the Earth Dragon, the team found the oasis completely clear. Soon, they arrived at the center of the oasis lake where the Blood Jade fruit awaited. The Blood Jade fruit was an exceedingly rare item, said to cleanse a warrior's body and enhance their physical potential, making it highly sought after despite its scarcity in the market. Just as Lin was about to celebrate their success, Huda unexpectedly attacked, plunging a poisoned dagger into Lin's abdomen. The other team members exclaimed in shock. What's going on here? Lin swung his arm in a desperate counterattack, shouting, Huda, what the hell are you doing? Huda quickly retreated, dodging the blow. At that moment, a bald man with a tough, menacing demeanor stepped forward, sneering. What's going on? Can't you see? He's obviously up to something that could make him rich. Iha realized everyone knew this man. Ho Peng. Xiao Wu angrily explained. Ho Peng specializes in robbing warriors of their loot from the secret realms. And now he's set his sights on us. What a bastard. Lin, clutching his bleeding abdomen, glared at Huda and Ho Peng in pain and anger, growling, the blade's poisoned. Huda, you traitor. How did you even know about this? Even my teammates only learned about the blood jade flower after entering the secret realm. At this moment, Iha calmly interjected, it was the throwing darts. You left the information on the darts, didn't you? Ho Peng sneered. You're clever, Patterzilla, but you're still just a student, right? With the exams coming up, why aren't you studying and instead choosing to follow these scumbags on this trip? Iha cracked his neck and replied coldly, yeah, the exams are coming up, and I've got a top spot waiting for me. Ho Peng, furious at Iha's arrogance, shot a dart straight at him. Iha easily caught it midair, smirking. You're barking so loudly like some disgusting fence-sitter. Now that's arrogance. He crushed Huda's dart with one hand. Watching this, Ho Peng turned to Huda and said, this kid's got some guts. Huda, I'll be taking his head. Without hesitation, Huda launched a barrage of darts at Iha. Iha grinned coldly, his eyes blazing with battle intent. After several secret realm fights, he had grown accustomed to the bloody struggles between warriors. He quickly retreated, narrowly dodging the incoming darts. Sensing an opportunity, Huda closed in, spinning in the air. A sharp blade extended from his boots, and his legs swung down like a giant axe, aiming to slice Iha in half. Iha dodged, pressing his finger to his forehead. Blue energy immediately gathered at his fingertip, releasing an atomic breath. The blue beam pierced through Huda's heart. As Huda's broken body fell to the ground, everyone froze for a moment, momentarily forgetting to continue the fight. Ho Peng, both surprised and furious, demanded, who are you? Which powerful family do you come from to be able to use gene techniques? Iha coldly smiled at Ho Peng and replied, I'm from the Emperor Demonare family. Do you want to beg for mercy? Ho Peng, sensing the intense killing intent emanating from Iha, realized the situation was beyond repair. His blood surged, and the pressure of a second-tier warrior weighed heavily on everyone, leaving them gasping for air. With his bloodline activation, Ho Peng's body swelled several times in size, transforming into a terrifying, beast-like giant. He charged at Iha, moving like a tank with a blast of wind behind him. In a split second, Iha crouched low, swiftly flipping to the side to dodge. His fingers shot out again, releasing a blue particle beam aimed at Ho Peng's vulnerable ankle. Ho Peng screamed in pain, bringing both his hands together and smashing them down toward Iha. Iha, with his agile footwork, easily dodged the attack. Surprised, he thought to himself, the second-tier warrior really is something else. My atomic breath couldn't even melt his ankle bones. Ho Peng then swung his arms like massive wrecking balls, closing in on Iha as if trying to crush him with his giant hands. However, Iha suddenly appeared behind Ho Peng. He unleashed his fists, charged with intense nuclear radiation, pounding one blow after another into Ho Peng's body. Each punch injected lethal nuclear material into his system. While Ho Peng's second-tier warrior body and bloodline enhancement allowed him to withstand the punches, he definitely couldn't handle the continuous nuclear magic attacks. Soon, the internal organs in his body began to liquefy into pus and blood. Writhing in agony, Ho Peng glared at Iha with hatred, accusing him of using poisonous gene techniques and cursing that such evil warriors would eventually be punished. Iha scoffed at him and raised his fist to end his life, thinking to himself, the number of people cursing me will only grow, but what's he really worth? 9 days flew by in the blink of an eye, and today was one of the grandest days in the Summer Kingdom. The National College entrance exams had finally arrived. In front of a nationwide live broadcast, the host began speaking to the candidates, first wishing them success and then explaining the exam rules. The exam was held in a tournament-style format, taking place in the Central City Sports Arena. Students would compete in pairs, and the winners would advance to the next round, with the whole event lasting 3 days. The first 2 days were for the preliminary rounds, and only the students who advanced could participate in the third day's exam. Each student had to compete in 3 matches during the prelims, and those who made it to the finals would continue to fight until the top score was chosen. The host emphasized that the candidates carried the future of humanity on their shoulders, urging them to showcase their strength for themselves and for the future of mankind before officially announcing the start of city's college entrance exams. As the host's voice faded, the candidates began to step onto the arena. On Arena 6, the match was between Iha and Wang Tong Tong. But at that moment, Iha had still not arrived. The host announced, according to the rules, if Iha is not present after the match begins, he will be disqualified. Wang Tong Tong stood on the arena, smug and satisfied, thinking to herself, the Gene Conference made me lose face, a shame I'll carry for life. I was planning to humiliate Iha with my flame lizard, but that pathetic fool is hiding and won't show up. How disappointing. The audience murmured among themselves. How pathetic. He's too scared to even show up for the exams. He's probably hiding at home, trembling. Someone like him shouldn't even be in high school. He should just go sweep the streets. At that moment, the referee blew his whistle and said, "Time's up," in City First High School's Iha. Before the referee could finish speaking, the crowd suddenly felt a powerful presence approaching. They all looked up and were shocked to see a figure descending from the sky. What kind of immense power allows someone to fly like that? The audience debated below. Just as they were speculating, the person landed on the arena with a force so immense it caused the entire platform to shake. When the dust cleared, Wang Tong Tong was still confused. In the next moment, a foot was about to slam into her face. With that, Wang Tong Tong was kicked off the stage. Iha watched Wang Tong Tong fly off and muttered, "That was close. Almost had to come back next year." As Wang Tong Tong was knocked out of the arena, unconscious, the host loudly announced, "Iha wins." Iha scoffed, saying, "That's it? This was too easy." The audience couldn't believe it, shouting, "Iha is seriously strong." One kick, and his opponent was finished. At that moment, the system displayed Iha's total physique, 226. Compatibility, 20%. He proudly declared, "As a thank you, Captain Lin gave me the blood jade fruit. It took some time to improve my physique, but now you're about to see some real action." After defeating Wang Tong Tong with a single kick, Iha continued to dominate his opponents. 3 matches, 3 wins, all ended with one swift kick. No hesitation. The audience erupted into cheers, shouting, "Iha is like one kick man." As expected, the host announced, Iha from City First High School, 3 wins in a row, advancing to the third round. Down in the stands, a crowd gathered around Iha, bombarding him with questions and requests for his contact information. Some were even pitching their own schools. A reporter stepped forward and asked, "Iha, do you have a dream university in mind?" Upon hearing the question, Iha's eyes flashed with confidence as he replied, "Sorry, I'm aiming for Huadu University." Hearing this, the crowd around him suddenly dispersed like smoke. Iha sighed, muttering, "What? You don't believe me?" But deep down, he understood their skepticism. Huadu University was the pinnacle of martial arts education in the Summer Kingdom, one of the top 5 institutions in the world, a holy land for all warriors. Cities like City only sent their absolute best students to such sacred grounds. Still, Iha wasn't fazed. Martial artists are judged by their strength, he thought. Once I'm the top scorer, we'll see what they say. At that moment, an examiner noticed Iha's performance and approached him, requesting a retest of his martial artist level. After a quick scan, the examiner's jaw dropped. Just half a month ago, he was a martial disciple level 3, but now he's reached level 9. Further investigation revealed that Iha had frequently ventured into Tier secret realms after leaving school. When asked why he risked entering such dangerous places right before the college entrance exams, Iha casually explained, It's to find myself. My father left me a message before he passed. He said that to surpass humanity, you have to stop being human. So I've been going to secret realms, battling and breaking through my genetic locks. The examiner froze upon hearing the phrase breaking through genetic locks and immediately said, I need to report this right away. With that, the examiner rushed off, leaving Iha feeling like he'd somehow become the subject of intense scrutiny. On the day of the tournament, Iha stepped onto the arena once again. This time, his opponent was Luo Shuren from City Third High, a martial disciple level 8 with the bloodline of a rare second-tier monster. Both of Luo Shuren's parents were renowned warriors, making him a formidable contender. However, Iha looked at Luo Shuren with boredom and motioned for him to make the first move. Feeling belittled, Luo Shuren's anger surged within him. He immediately activated his bloodline and unleashed his martial skill, Thunderclap Claw, accelerating to top speed. Iha delivered a palm strike to Luo Shuren's head. The immense force knocked Luo Shuren unconscious on the spot. The host quickly announced, another victory with one strike, and this time, Iha defeated the seed player, Luo Shuren. Dozens of high-speed cameras focused on Iha, capturing every angle, while the live broadcast buzzed with excitement. Viewers couldn't stop talking, some in awe, saying Luo Shuren looked so fierce, and in the blink of an eye, he's on the ground. Iha's strength is on a whole different level compared to the other candidates. In this martial arts-driven era, Iha's overwhelming display of power stirred the passion of everyone watching. Shuha watched as Luo Shuren was carried off the stage by medics, his eyes filled with fierce determination. As expected, you're the one I've been rooting for, he muttered under his breath. I'll definitely defeat you in the finals. Meanwhile, the head of Huada University's admissions office, having witnessed Iha's impressive performance through the live broadcast, demanded to have all of his information compiled within half an hour. Just after Iha finished his match, the second group of qualifiers was already in full swing. This match was even more heated than his, as both competitors were top-tier beauties with large followings, turning the event into a spectacle. One of them was Kai Shaoling from Anqing Second High, a petite girl with an incredibly sexy figure. She flipped her long pigtails and remarked, I hate the robotic expression of yours. Lu Qingzhu didn't respond. Instead, her face remaining expressionless, as if she didn't take Kai Shaoling's challenge seriously at all. The referee blew the whistle, signaling the start of the match. With the aura of a martial disciple level 9, Kai Shaoling instantly appeared in front of Lu Qingzhu, sweeping a kick toward her neck, threatening to slam her to the ground. Lu Qingzhu still made no move, lightly waving her palms. The air around her thickened, becoming as viscous as a swamp under the influence of her martial technique. When Kai Shaoling's kick met the air in front of Lu Qingzhu, she felt as though her leg, which could tear through military-grade steel, had instead sunk into soft cotton. She attempted to strike Lu Qingzhu's side, but as her palm neared Lu Qingzhu's waist by just 3 inches, it suddenly couldn't get any closer. Realizing she had fallen into a trap, Kai Shaoling tried to retract her hand, but the air in front of her exploded with unimaginable suction, preventing her from pulling back. At that moment, Lu Qingzhu made her first move, extending her slender fingers, which now shimmered with a jade-like light. Without hesitation, she activated her bloodline, Claw Tiger King. A massive shockwave exploded from her body, shattering the air around her. A king-level bloodline is hard to control, and the Shadow Tiger King is known for its brutal power. This girl's future is boundless. The awakening of the Shadow Tiger King's bloodline placed a heavy burden on Kai Shaoling's body. She exhaled hot air and struggled to speak to Lu Qingzhu, challenging her to display the Nether Phoenix bloodline. Lu Qingzhu, ever the woman of few words, spoke her first line since the battle began. This is enough. Kai Shaoling, completely enraged, shouted, Do you think anyone below a martial artist can challenge me? Her body moved like a vicious tiger, her fierce blood energy coiling into a torrent behind her, her palms slashing through the air toward Lu Qingzhu. Facing the brutal strike, Lu Qingzhu softened the blow with grace, her hands moving like she was playing a piano. The invisible threads of her technique gradually reduced Kai Xiaoling's force until it disappeared entirely. Kai Xiaoling's attack failed, and she immediately drew on her immense blood energy, dispelling the invisible threads around Lu Qingzhu with her small body midair. She kicked again. Seeing this, Lu Qingzhu activated the Shuren Huang technique once more. Hunyuan Jade Finger. The jade-colored tip of Lu Qingzhu's finger collided with Kai Xiaoling's fierce kick, and the two powerful techniques clashed, shattering the specially made arena beneath their feet. The arena erupted in a cloud of dust, leaving tens of thousands of spectators holding their breath, waiting for the victor to emerge. As the dust cleared, Kai Xiaoling appeared first, covered in blood, stumbling a few steps before collapsing from exhaustion. Lu Qingzhu, however, stood like an ethereal fairy, her hair slightly disheveled but otherwise pristine and composed. With just her martial skills, she had completely dominated Kai Xiaoling, who also possessed a martial disciple level 9 rank and a king-level bloodline. Lu Qingzhu's powerful display instantly exploded the live broadcast room. Viewers were amazed by her strength. Some claimed she was the top scorer from her city, while others leaked rumors that Lu Qingzhu had awakened the fourth-tier bloodline of the Phantom Crow, a talent so rare that most warriors would be unable to defeat her. After her battle, the rest of the matches, though still exciting, seemed dull in comparison. After several rounds of elimination, the final 8 competitors were decided. The finals of the top 8 were about to begin, and Iha stepped up first to draw lots. He drew an A. A 2-meter-tall, muscular giant glanced at him and revealed his own draw. It was also an A. "Looks like we're set to face off," the giant said. His name was Shangguan from Qing Fong Private High. He nodded and introduced himself. "I'm Shangguan. We're the second match, so let's watch the first match first." Simple and straightforward, he gestured with hands as big as fans toward the large screen above the arena. The first match was between Lu Shi from Qing Fong Private High and Chuha from and City First High. Shangguan casually started chatting with Iha, saying, "Lu Shi is incredibly talented, a repeat student specifically aiming for Huadu University this year. He has great mastery over his bloodline awakening, but still stands no chance against Chua." Pointing toward the screen, he added, "Chua, right? He's from your school and City First High. You must know him." At that moment, the host announced the result of the first match. Chuha from and City First High wins. The principal of Qing Fong Private High heard the news and angrily muttered, "Damn, they lost right at the start." Turning to Iha, Shangguan asked, "How does Lu Qingzhu compare to you?" Shangguan grinned and continued, "I'm a martial arts president at Qing Fong Private High, level 3. Honestly, my 2 teammates combined couldn't even match me." Then, his gaze shifted toward Iha, sharp and piercing. "But to be honest, I think you're my biggest rival in this exam. I've always had an extremely sensitive sense. I can feel that you're like a dormant volcano with a beast hidden inside you." He gestured toward the arena. "Let's go. It's our turn." With that, Iha and Shangguan walked toward the arena. The host's voice boomed across the stadium. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second match of the top 8 qualifiers." The fist of Shernwan collided with Ahai's in an explosive impact, sending debris flying. The solid platform beneath their feet exploded, forming a massive deep pit with a reverberating boom. The sound pierced the audience's eardrums as a massive shockwave blinded their direct line of sight. Shernwan sneered excitedly the moment he managed to counter an attack with strength comparable to his own, or perhaps even greater. Although he was suffering from a nosebleed, there was no anger on his face, only ecstasy. He had finally found an opponent who could compete with him in strength, and this thrilled the hell out of him. He also deduced that his nosebleed must be a result of Ahai's bloodline ability. It was truly mysterious, being able to directly target an opponent's cells for destruction. But no matter. He knew how to deal with this trivial challenge that he stared at Ahai with a calculative look. Shenwan managed to use his martial energy to create a barrier around his body, shielding himself from Ahai's nuclear radiation. His eyes glowed with delight as he commended Ahai's martial art. It was truly amazing. Ahai was a monster not to be trifled with. So, in response, he decided to reveal the martial arts passed down through generations in his Shin family. Shenwan activated his family's martial technique, the Shape Wolf Fist, and followed it up with the Deer Peak. With swiftness and lethality like a venomous snake, and a defense-piercing effect comparable to the antlers of stag, Shenwan's double fists moved as fast as lightning, rendering Ahai immobilized and unable to dodge. The double fist shattered Ahai's defenses and struck him squarely in the lower abdomen. He was pushed back significantly, clutching his abdomen and spitting a mouthful of fresh blood. Ahai, previously known as the One-Kick Superman, had just taken a serious hit for the first time. Before he could allow himself a brief moment of respite, Shenwan was upon him again, launching another powerful technique, the Bear Crash. You see, Shenwan's attacks were not merely physical. They were enhanced by martial energy, causing double the damage. And it didn't help that all of Ahai's previous opponents were weak as hell, lacking any experience against a formidable adversary. And apparently, so did he. Ahai raised his arms to block the attack, but was shocked when Shenwan's arms extended unnaturally, wrapping around him and pulling him into a tight embrace. He was half right about Shenwan's martial art. Not only could Shenwan inject martial energy into his body, he could also lock Ahai's martial energy, rendering him incapable of using martial techniques for a limited duration. Shenwan then used the Pearl technique to thrash Ahai through the air across the arena. And while Ahai was airborne, Shenwan switched to the Tiger Pounce technique, delivering a solid uppercut. As Ahai plummeted toward the arena, Shenwan followed it up with the Eagle Dive. Seems this guy is literally a walking zoo. Anyway, Shenwan loudly declared his intention to win this match overwhelmingly, insisting that under no circumstances would Ahai be able to defeat him. He dove headfirst into Ahai, shattering the arena in a bright and devastating crash. As debris flew everywhere, Shenwan crossed his arms and laughed with satisfaction, believing he had won. With such an overwhelming and relentless barrage of attacks, he was certain Ahai had no chance to fight back. He was confident the match was in the bag. The medical staff outside the venue were already preparing to enter the arena as the Shape Wolf Fist combination techniques, wielded by the champion of Qinggong Private High, could have easily killed an ordinary martial artist. As the dust gradually settled, the host, clearly a dimwit and more of an entertainer than a professional, was in the process of declaring Shenwan the winner when suddenly, Shenwan felt a terrifying presence behind him. What the hell is that? Such an enormous aura from a martial disciple. Shenwan turned and saw the biggest shock of his life. A massive paw, skinned with impregnable scales and lethally sharpened claws, stepped out from the dust. A voice cut through the noise, praising Shenwan's strength, but lamenting that it was unfortunate he had been matched against him. If it was any consolation, Shenwan would be the first to witness his current, true form, the Savage Trace Demora bloodline awakening. Sweating bullets, Shenwan was petrified at the sight of Ahai's beast embodiment. Apparently, if a high school student could display the magical embodiment of their awakened beast, they could enter Hada University without taking the entrance exam. The host announced that he hadn't expected that in the small city of Aining, apart from Lu Qingzhu, a martial arts genius, there was also a bloodline genius. To think that Ahai's bloodline awakening had reached such an overwhelming level was truly terrifying. For context, each examiner had been equipped with a monitoring headset to track the candidates and environmental factors in the examination arena. When they saw Ahai's nuclear radiation values, especially the white-bearded examiner, their eyes bulged out as though being pulled from their sockets. Ahai's nuclear radiation value was off the charts, sitting at 999999. Faced with such data, the examiners had no choice but to immediately wrap the arena with martial energy to prevent nuclear leakage. Amidst the crowd, Ahai's bloodline was the center of discussion. The audience found it cool and fascinating. However, no one knew the origin of his awakened beast bloodline. Even more shocking, there was no record of his awakened bloodline in number 1 middle school. Seriously, how could such a powerful monster be unknown? Surprisingly, Ahai heard all these discussions due to his heightened senses and was not surprised. After all, it seemed there was no creature like Demore on planet Blue Star. So, it was no wonder no one had heard of it. Anyway, back to Shenwan, he was suffering another nosebleed. It seemed that his martial energy shield was no longer enough to block Ahai's nuclear energy. With this in mind, Shenwan knew he had to end the fight quickly. He activated his own bloodline awakening, the Golden Star Ape Demon, which encased his body with martial energy, increasing his physique and overall stats. He even grew in size that he activated his Formulus technique, the Snake Strike, and went on the offensive. Seeing this, Ahai countered with a strike of his own, a terrifying and undeniably powerful offensive technique, the Mountain Arresting Fist. Objectively, it looked like an upgraded version of Hyper Beam that Shenwan's entire left arm was disabled. If he hadn't released the force of the attack in time, his arm would have been shattered beyond recovery. Shenwan realized he had made such a big fuss before without ever going all out. But now that he had, it was as if he had slapped himself in the face. And speaking of Ahai, this madman was fully immersed in the fight, having thrown away all reservations. He acknowledged Shenwan's strength, telling him he was outstanding, but that this was as far as he could go. The outcome could not be changed. With the activation of Shenwan's bloodline awakening, the host excitedly announced that in the second match of the 8-4 bracket of this year's college entrance exams, the third Order King bloodline had appeared, and his opponent, on the other side, was a previously unknown but obviously powerful bloodline of a magical beast, something truly rare to witness.